We need a mic.
Is it on? Okay. Well, good morning. Is that loud for you? Okay. So we have for your consideration this morning an amendment, several amendments to Rule 1660-01-08. This is a rule that regulates governs the regulations regarding hunts. So there are two portions of this rule that are affected by these amendments. Section 03 and 05, you see listed there. The first title that's affected are the permit requirements on wildlife management areas, refuges, and other agency-controlled lands. And the second one, 05, relates to the permit application and drawings, specifically for sandhill crane permits. So the first amendment that we request, you'll see before you in your packet as well as on the screen a list of wildlife management areas, refuges, and other associated state lands that we are adding to the list that are required, folks are required to have a small game permit to hunt there. And these entire lists come from the newly proclaimed lands that y'all have just passed in the course of the last year. So this is kind of a catch-up outlining the permit requirements for these newly proclaimed lands. If you wish, I could read these to you, or we can look at the...
If you would, go
Okay,
to the
sure.
next slide, please.
So Beeson Creek, Beach River, Blackburn Fork, Chambers Creek, Spring Creek, Tull Bottom, Fort Ridge, Grays Creek, Happy Hollow, Hart's Mill, McLaughlin Largan, Perry Switch, Forest Durand, and Buffalo Ridge Refuge will now, with this amendment, be required, a small game permit would be required to hunt in these areas. And just to note, Buffalo Ridge Refuge is not in your paper copy in front of you. We neglected to include that. That was the most recently proclaimed area. It's the Beasley property, so it's not in your paper copy, but it's in the rule recommendation.
Tracy, point of order here, just to keep me straight. There are two changes being made to this amendment that he has proposed. We've just heard one of them. Because we are amending the rule in total, can I go ahead and ask him to present the second change to this same rule? And we hear it all at one time? Okay. Same rule? Your next change?
The next change,
Had to do with the sandhill crane hunts?
right.
It's in the same rule?
It's in the same rule, yes,
Would
I'm
you
sorry.
mind presenting that, please?
Yes, and there's actually some more here. So this list here was for requirements to have small game permits on the WMAs. There's also a change in the rule to require a field trial permit on the Wolf River. This is in keeping with the requirements on Tellico Lake and the one right outside of Nashville. Percy Priest, thank you, I'm sorry. So this would create consistency with how we operate those hunts there. Additionally, on this list of WMAs would now require a small game and a waterfowl permit. I'll just read them real quickly. Beeson Creek, Beach River, Chambers Creek, Spring Creek, Tull Bottom, Fort Ridge, Grays Creek, Happy Hollow, Hart's Mill, McLaughlin Largan, Perry Switch, and Forest Durand. The following WMAs will now require, with this amendment, a big game.
Excuse me just one minute, Mr. Chairman. I think we need to make sure that they understand that these are new.
I'll continue the list and then add one comment here. Hart's Mill, McLaughlin Largan, Perry Switch, Forest Durand, and Buffalo Ridge Refuge. Again, these will now require big game permits. And just a note, thank you, Director, for reminding me that. I mentioned a minute ago that these are newly proclaimed lands. However, a lot of these areas have been hunted by the public in the past without a requirement for a permit. So there may be comments from the public because they are now proclaimed, and they now, next fall, when this rule change, assuming it's passed today and then goes through the rest of the state process, next year these permit requirements would go into effect. So again, people have been hunting on these for years in some cases, and will now be required to have a permit. So we could get some feedback from the public on that, again, next fall. So I hope that was clear. And then also two other changes throughout the document. We removed the word refuge from the Paint Rock Refuge. You folks recently proclaimed it as a wildlife management area. And we also added the word refuge to Cypress Pond, and that was just a clerical error that we corrected in this version. And then secondarily, again, the same rule, my apologies, 1660.01.08.05. This part pertains to the permit applications and drawings. In paragraph 8 regarding Sandhill Crane permit application and procedures, there's some typographical errors that we wanted to clean up. And then also, we clarified the permit application requirements for both youth and landowners that wasn't included previously. And we added the language to require permit holders to submit a post-hunt survey. This is a federal requirement that was just absent from the rule when we first proposed it. So I'll go through these real quickly. These should be in your packet in front of you. In paragraph C there, we added the language, each applicant must be at least 13 years of age to complete the drawing. This was not addressed initially. It just didn't speak to the age limit for the hunts. We've had a lot of requests for from folks to set an age, and we spent a lot of time within the agency discussing what the age should be. We talked about 16. That's the age, the minimum age request, or minimum age to apply for a duck blind drawing. But because these hunts are not blinds, these are actual individual tags, we thought it was more appropriate to go with the age that elk tags are. So if you're 13 years old, you can apply for and receive an elk tag. So this would create consistency between a crane tag and an elk tag, and again, allow those younger folks to have that opportunity. And then just a couple clerical errors here in paragraph E. I'll just read the last portion here that we've added. Landowners may either have the required licenses as described above, or if their property is within an area open to sandhill crane hunting, they may claim landowner license exemption by providing a completed signed landowner exemption statement available in the hunting and trapping guide. And again, this is just something that we overlooked including it when we proposed this rule a couple years ago.
Let me get a motion first. Chief, thank you so much. Commission, you have heard the changes being proposed to this rule. Do I have a motion for approval? Motion from Commissioner Holbert. Do I have a second? Second from Commissioner Watson. We'll now entertain any questions or comments from the commission. Commissioner Bledsoe?
The way that reads there, that last little thing you brought up about the landowners, I mean, they still have to be drawn to participate in that hunt.
Yes, they do. This speaks to their ability to apply. And
Okay.
we've had a lot of folks who are applying, we're coming to the drawings without a license and claiming landowner exemption, and this just clarifies what they would need to claim that exemption. But they would still participate in the drawing. Yes, sir. I should have read the entire thing. That if you read the whole paragraph, it would begin, it starts out by the license requirements, and I apologize for not starting at the beginning.
Commissioner Swan?
One quick question. Why is Hiawassee Refuge omitted from field trial permits?
I don't have an answer for that.
It's not, it's already been proclaimed, in the past.
I'm sorry, I couldn't, the microphone.
I'm John Mayer, Regional Manager, Region 3. It's already been proclaimed several years ago, so it's already there and it's already available for field trials.
Okay, well, it just didn't mention it in here.
This was-
It listed other wildlife management areas, but it didn't mention Hiawassee Refuge.
If I'm correct, this is just an updating since you all proclaimed them all WMAs a couple of months ago.
Right.
Correct?
Commissioners, any other questions? Any questions from the public? Hearing none, we have a motion and on the floor in a second for amendments to Rule 1660-01-08 regarding the rules and regulations of hunts. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Amendment to Rule 1660-01-08 passes. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. This concludes the rulemaking hearing. We will be back into the regular commission session. And we completed the commission business. I will ask one more time if there's anyone from the public that wants to speak.
Can I be from the public?
You can be from anywhere you want, sir.
I just wanted to thank you and your lovely wife for being such a good host, and thank Region 4 for all they've done, and we really appreciate it. Y'all went above and beyond. Awesome. As always, yins are. So.
I'd like to second that.
Mr. Chairman, I've got one thing.
Yes, sir.
If I can be real quick.
Absolutely.
I'd like to ask the agency to look into, or direct them to look into changing the age requirements for the duck blind drawing. It's currently 16 by the drawing date. I'd like to, if you guys don't have a reason not to, change that to 16 by the day of duck season, the day that duck season begins. You would still be 16 if you hunted, but anyway, I've mentioned that, but anyway, look into that.
Any other thoughts or comments from the commission? Director Carter, any comments?
Yes, sir, please.
If you're going to read all that, I'm not going to let you speak.
I just wanted to make a couple of things. One, the paper that's going down, Commissioner Cannon and I met with Commissioner Martin. She was Commissioner of the Finance Administration, and asked about some possibilities that we might have in terms of looking at funding throughout the agency and the other parts of the state. The Commissioner asked the University of Tennessee to put together a document looking at that, and that's the latest report from the university. Not asking for any action, just want to make sure that you have it. I know some of you received it electronically, if not all of you. But in any case, this is the hard copy that I thought you might be interested in seeing. Secondly, just going through just a few bullet points, I'm sure you will recognize in a second that we have no scheduled meeting for the month of November right now. We'll be meeting again in December, and I'll leave that to you. Just want to mention it. You mentioned Shane earlier. What I didn't mention on the photograph over there is that he was recognized by Field and Stream as a hero of conservation, and that's the way that thing is signed, and I just want to reiterate, he certainly was to all of us. Under SCTP, it's another program that we are proud to partner with the Wildlife Federation on, and they certainly carry the ball in terms of all that's done with that. We do help financially, and some of our personnel help in terms of being coaches or in terms of big shoots. It also other programs like Hunters for Hungry and on and on. John Sevier Shooting Range was mentioned several times in this meeting, and it's here in Knoxville. We began using that in the early 70s. It belonged to the United States Department of Military. We've been trying to get that under our ownership since the early 70s, thanks to some legislation that Congressman Duncan passed and the help of Governor Haslam, that now is under our ownership as of this year. So we finally got that accomplished with a lot of help. And Tommy Whitehead, who's here somewhere, or at least was, is part of his duties to run all that, and appreciate everything he's done to put that together. The ABR, this reiteration again, another great partner, and we've got some joint research coming up that we'll be trying to keep you updated on as we go forward. We mentioned the elk program, obviously, earlier. We are in the process of buying about almost 5,000 acres that will join the North Cumberland, which could serve as another elk zone if we wanted to do that, but that it's underway. We should have that accomplished sometime in the next 3 to 4 months. So another addition there, in addition to Tackett Creek, which we're already leasing, so a lot of extra opportunity for hunters there. So just want to mention those few things. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Director. We've been giving Ed a pretty hard time up here about shirt choices. And if there's anybody I look up to, it is Ed Carter. I think that's consistent across this commission. He is the last man to toot his own horn. And one of the things that you don't know is how appropriate it was for us to take that tour of UT yesterday. I believe he was one of 3 directors of wildlife agencies recognized recently in a UT publication that was, I guess, heralding what's coming out of the University of Tennessee's wildlife group. He's one of the leaders in this nation on many matters, The resolution we passed today, he is actively involved in managing that, overseeing that, including the funds associated with that. And so, yes, we're going to buy you an orange shirt, but we're very, very grateful for all that you take on. I don't know how you do it, but you do it well and you represent us well. So thank you so much. Region 4, well done. This concludes a very intentional trip across this state where we wanted to give the regions, including Region 2, which always seems to have the meeting at their offices, we wanted to give you a chance to show us what you do, and we weren't let down a bit. Your hospitality was over the top. What you've accomplished is over the top. I will specifically thank Region 4 for every bit of your effort here. And I think it was also appropriate to come here for our last time. We've talked a lot about locking arms with the different folks. And time again, since we arrived here Wednesday night, that's been the theme. Whether it's been the Legacy Parks Foundation and our work out at the Forks of the River, we've had the ABR, Mr. Butler, Tennessee Wildlife Federation. What you're helping us do with kids and the way that you all own that is remarkable. The muscle presentation, I hate he had to leave, but look what Tennessee is about. And there's a lot of other things, and I won't go through it, because I know we'll probably do a coffee break here in just a second, and we're going to take that. But a lot of yapping on my part to say to the staff, well done. You pick your partners well. You represent this agency and this commission well. And we thank you for sharing just a little bit about what you all do day in and day out. I, for one, and I think I speak for the commission as a whole, it's pretty humbling being up here. And it's a privilege to be able to take a little bit of credit that's not due us, but to be recipients of that credit on your behalf. Ed mentioned it. We do have a one-day meeting in November. There will not be a meeting of the commission. We will be meeting one day only in December, on December the 9th. We will be going back to the Region 2 meeting room. We'll give you the rest of the schedule from there on out. I will ask the commissioners to stick around 5 to 10 more minutes at the latest. We're pretty excited about transitioning from the notebook that's under my chair simply because it's too thick to be on this table. We're going to the electronic age. We've made progress. I think when I first came on, it was stone tablets. Then we went to the notebooks, and now we're going to the electronic notebooks, and that's pretty exciting stuff. Brad, glad you're on board regarding the elk. If you would stick around, your presentation spurned some questions that have been slid across the desk up here. So if you wouldn't mind coming to see us right after, that would be great. And Boyd, thank you again, buddy. We greatly appreciate you being here. It's great to break bread with you last night. If there's no other comments, we stand adjourned until December the 9th. Thank you again.